Victor Wembanyama thought his career might be over. Picture this. You're 21 years old, already being called the future of basketball, and then doctors tell you there's a blood clot in your shoulder that could literally end your life. Not just your career, your life. That's exactly what happened to Wemby in February, and what he did next will blow your mind. While other players were lounging on beaches or working out in fancy gyms, Wemby disappeared to a place most NBA stars have never even heard of. He flew to China and spent weeks living like a monk at the legendary Shaolin temple. We're talking about waking up at dawn, practicing kung fu for hours, meditating in silence, and learning ancient martial arts from actual monks who've spent decades perfecting their craft. This isn't some publicity stunt or social media content. Wemby genuinely believed that kung fu training would unlock physical and mental potential that traditional basketball training never could. He wasn't just recovering from a medical scare that nearly took everything from him. He was transforming into something the NBA has never encountered before. But here's what makes this story absolutely wild. The blood clot that almost destroyed his career might have actually created the most dangerous version of Wembanyama we'll ever see. Because when you stare down the possibility of losing everything you've worked for since childhood, it changes you. And when you combine that mental toughness with ancient Chinese martial arts training, you get a player who's about to shock the entire league. Deep vein thrombosis doesn't mess around. It's the same type of blood clot condition that forced Chris Bosh into early retirement and nearly took his life. When doctors discovered the clot in Wemby's right shoulder, they immediately shut him down for the rest of the season. No basketball, no intense physical activity, just medication and prayers that the clot wouldn't travel to his lungs, where it could have been fatal within minutes. That's when Wemby made a decision that left everyone scratching their heads. Instead of staying close to doctors and playing it safe, he flew halfway around the world to train with Shaolin monks. Most people thought he'd lost his mind. His agents probably panicked, but Wemby saw something others couldn't. He realized that Kung Fu wasn't just about physical training. It was about conquering fear, building mental discipline, and finding inner strength when everything seems hopeless. While Wemby was transforming himself in China, the Spurs were making moves that had everyone confused. They traded for De'Aaron Fox, giving him a massive 4-year, $229 million extension. Then they drafted Dylan Harper, another ball-dominant guard who can't shoot threes consistently. Add in Stephen Castle from the previous draft, and suddenly San Antonio had 3 guards who basically do the same thing. On paper, it looked like a disaster. Fox, Castle, and Harper are all under 33% from three-point range. In today's NBA, that's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. Teams would just pack the paint and dare them to shoot. Most analysts predicted this roster construction would fail miserably, especially with such a unique player like Wemby, who needs the right pieces around him. But here's what everyone missed. The Spurs weren't building a traditional roster because Wemby isn't a traditional player. While other big men need shooters around them to create space, Wemby can spot up from three-point range himself. While other centers get exposed in pick-and-roll defense, Wemby can switch onto guards and still protect the rim. The normal rules don't apply when you have a 7-footer who moves like a guard and shoots like a wing. When teams try to go big against San Antonio, they can play Fox, Castle, and Harper together and run opponents off the court with pace and athleticism. When teams go small, Wemby can slide to center and dominate the paint, while still stepping out to hit threes. It's like having multiple teams in one roster, and it's only possible because their centerpiece player defies every conventional basketball category. Imagine facing a Wemby who doesn't get rattled by trash talk, doesn't let missed shots affect his confidence, and approaches every possession with the same calm intensity. That's terrifying for opponents who rely on getting inside young players' heads. How do you mentally break someone who's been trained by monks to find peace in chaos? As the new season approaches, Western Conference teams are probably having nightmares about this new version of Wembanyama. It's one thing to game plan against a talented young center who's still figuring things out. It's completely different to face a player who's combined elite basketball skills with ancient martial arts training and the mental toughness that comes from overcoming a life-threatening medical condition. The Spurs could realistically finish anywhere from the 4th seed to missing the playoffs entirely. That range exists because so much depends on how quickly the pieces fit together. If Harper adapts to playing without the ball in his hands constantly, if Castle develops a consistent three-point shot, if Fox and Wemby develop the chemistry that made Chris Paul and Wemby so dangerous last season, then San Antonio could shock everyone. But if the guard rotation struggles with spacing, if Harper looks lost trying to find his role, if teams successfully exploit their shooting deficiencies, then this experiment could fail spectacularly. The margin for error is smaller when you're trying something that's never been done before. What makes this situation so compelling is that failure might teach us as much as success. If the Spurs struggle, it proves that even transcendent talents need traditional roster construction. If they succeed, it opens up entirely new possibilities for how teams can be built around unique players. Either way, we're about to learn something important about modern basketball. The early season will be crucial for Harper's development. He's walking into a situation where he's not the focal point, where he needs to find ways to impact winning without dominating the ball. Some rookies thrive in that environment because it forces them to develop complementary skills immediately. Others struggle because they've never had to adjust their games to fit around other stars. Harper's size and skill give him options that most guards don't have. He can post up smaller defenders, rebound from the guard position, and potentially defend multiple positions as he develops. Castle enters his second year with higher expectations and a clearer role. His defensive potential is obvious, but his offensive development will determine how high the Spurs' ceiling can reach. Fox represents the most interesting piece of this puzzle. He's entering his prime years with his first real opportunity to play alongside a generational talent. The partnership with Wemby could unlock aspects of both players' games that we haven't seen before. But here's what really separates this version of Wembanyama from the player who entered the league just 2 years ago. He's been tested in ways that go far beyond basketball. When you face the possibility of losing everything you love, it changes your perspective on pressure, on failure, on what really matters. The player who emerges from that experience isn't just more skilled, he's more resilient, more focused, and more dangerous. Teams around the league are watching this experiment closely because the implications go beyond just the Spurs. If Wemby proves that unconventional roster construction can work around the right type of player, it could change how every organization approaches team building. If his kung fu training provides legitimate competitive advantages, other players might follow similar paths. The Western Conference arms race is about to get even more intense. Oklahoma City still looks like the favorite with their young core and depth. Denver remains dangerous with Jokic in his prime. Houston is building something special with their defensive identity. But San Antonio might be the wild card that nobody sees coming. The scariest part for opponents might be that this is just the beginning. Wemby is still only 21 years old, still learning how to use his unique combination of size, skill, and now mental training. If the kung fu conditioning continues to unlock new aspects of his game, if he stays healthy, if the roster construction works as planned, we might be witnessing the birth of something revolutionary. This isn't just about one player or one team anymore. It's about whether traditional basketball wisdom still applies when truly transcendent talents emerge. The Spurs are betting that it doesn't, that they can succeed by embracing chaos instead of avoiding it, by building around uniqueness instead of conventional fit. Whether they're right or wrong, the league will never be the same. Wemby has already changed how teams scout for big men, how they think about position versatility, how they approach defensive schemes. Now he's adding elements from ancient martial arts and the mental toughness that comes from overcoming genuine adversity. The season ahead isn't just about wins and losses. It's about discovering the limits of what's possible when traditional boundaries no longer apply. And if early indications are correct, those limits might be far beyond anything we've imagined. The league truly has never seen this version of Wemby before, and by the time they figure out how to stop him, it might already be too late.